This is another Vlogmas. Please like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoy. Hey, this is Coast Channel and welcome to a very special video. Now, this is episode 2 of a brand new series coming to Coast Channel over 2019 and beyond. Now, this is the Closed But Not Forgotten series, previously known as What Went Wrong. Now, I didn't think that name suited, so I thought I'd go with Closed But Not Forgotten, but the series still keeps the same principles. We're going to be going through closed theme parks, closed attractions, figuring out what went wrong and the history behind the attractions. So I cannot wait to get this thing started, and we're going to go on about... Now, if you want to check out the American Adventure video, then please all due respect, go and check it out after this video. But this one is about another special theme park that operated in the early 90s. Now, this is Crinkley Bottom at Cricket St Thomas. Now, this is like the Blobby Land and how the house was just sort of degraded, things like that. So I've got my stats down here, so if I keep looking down I do apologise, but let's get on with the history of this attraction. So in late 1993, one of the biggest TV programmes in the country, if any of you remember it, was of course Noel's House Party, hosted by Noel Edmonds, who of course came last in this year's I'm a Celebrity, so it doesn't look like he's retiring. Now, he, of course, lived near, he was living close to Cricket, which is, of course, in Devon. So a deal was struck with the owner of Cricket, John Taylor, in the closing months in 1993 to turn the park of Cricket St Thomas into Mr. Blobby's hometown. So in 1994, around February time, plans for Crinkley Bottom were unveiled at a press conference with a smiling Noel Edmonds and John Taylor signing contracts. So Mr. Blobby's house and Noddy Toy Town was among the first attractions to be built. After months of hard work, it was officially opened on the weekend of the 2nd to the 3rd of July 1994. So this was only a couple of months, 2 or 3, 4 months after the opening of Nemesis at Alton Towers, so very big one. But of course, as many as you know, if you know the history of this place, cracks really started to show for this place within weeks of the opening. Honestly, Cricket St Thomas road sign declaring twinned with Crinkley Bottom, which the Somerset County Council frowned upon and ordered to be removed, and the quarry that housed Mr. Blobby's house had allegedly been built without full planning permission. So that was sort of the first sort of charges, but they were eventually all dropped when Mr. Blobby's house was adequately hidden from intruding on the landscape. But Crinkley Bottom's problems, of course, as you all know, far from over. By mid-90s, you know, Mr. Blobby was sort of fading as a character, you know, in the world of British television. So 1996, as you can be aware, was not a very happy season for the park. And the 13th anniversary of the wildlife, just a year away, the Tails and the Edmonds agreed to part ways that September. Mr. Blobby and other TV-themed attractions remained at the park due to the licensing constraints, although the attraction was rebranded as Cricket St Thomas Wildlife Park again. The final reference, of course, to Crinkley Bottom was a message at the park's website declaring that the TV theme park attractions present in the 1990s no longer exist, which is, of course, viable until they removed it around early 2002. Now, of course, they did include a brand new attraction after opening, which the TV Family Favourites, which is a water dart ride. That system's now been moved. I can't remember where to, but it's definitely a castle. They've moved it to be an outdoor attraction, and I believe it's still operating from what I know. But when it was sort of around Crinkley Bottom, the attraction was like in like a big building, so it's called TV Family Favourites, and basically, and I love the concept of this when they had the licensing. Basically, you would sit in these little round tubes. So the first scene you go through is a scene sort of smashing through the telly at Noel's House Party, and you'll come up with different scenes from characters like Bill and Ben, the Flower Pot Men, Magic Roundabout, Noddy and Toyland and Big Ears, and then the final scene was sort of a Noel's House Party, but then when Mr. Blobby left, they actually changed that last scene to Noddy and Big Ears at the end. So it was a very good dart ride for its time, but of course, like all references to Crinkley Bottom, that attraction was removed. So, as like the American Adventure video, I've put down 3 of my personal thoughts as to why as to what went wrong with Crinkley Bottom at Crickly St Thomas, and number one on my list, it was a concept that they couldn't maintain. And it's a shame to say that, because Mr. Blobby, of course, back in the early 90s, he was a TV fan favourite. And then when he sort of disappeared from the public eye, that sort of put strain on the park's financial struggles and sort of started those financial struggles for the parks. And sort of how if Mr. Blobby lost popularity like it did, then the park would lose popularity unless they got rid of him. So they did get rid of him, but it's sort of, the park still didn't make enough to sort of strain itself and sustain itself. So that's why they sort of closed the park. Now, that was sort of one main point I picked up from all the information and the history I found on the place. I did watch Expedition Theme Park's video on it. It was a very happy place, but I think they were holding it, and like Expedition Theme Park said it as well, they're holding a concept that they don't really, they can't really sustain it for a long period of time. So that was one of the main points I picked out. Now, the second main point is that the cracks were already there. Now, this to me, this part feels like a project that wasn't fully completed, that wasn't fully planned, permissioned, accomplished, all those different things. And I said it earlier in the history of the park, with the Mr. Blobby's house not being fully acquired for planning permission to be accepted. It wasn't fully accepted in planning permission. So the cracks were already there, and then when Mr. Blobby left, the cracks got bigger and bigger and bigger until the whole park just fell through into a black hole of nothingness and empty space. But honestly though, this park could have been a real success, even without the Mr. Blobby branding. This could have been a real family day out. And it's a shame it wasn't around. I know the last signs were there until early 2002, like I said, but it's a shame this part wasn't around when I was little, because I would have absolutely enjoyed it. Because I remember being a little kid, I used to be a massive fan of Noddy, I used to be a massive fan of Magic Roundabout, all those things when I was younger. And it would have been nice to go in things like the TV family favourites Dart Ride. That would have been incredible. As a little kid sort of experience, going through the Noddy exhibits, going through the Mr. Blobby stuff, the live shows, that of course the live show stopped at the part when Mr. Blobby left. I think they did some Noddy shows, but I think they sort of stopped that, I think. So yeah, so that's the first two main points, that the cracks were already there, and it was a concept that the park wouldn't keep up, if you know what I mean, for its time. Now, the third main thing, and this is nothing significant, this is probably because of the area it was sat on, they want to keep the house, they want to keep the delicacy and the integrity of the park. There wasn't many new attractions. I mean, we're going to be honest here, there wasn't any exciting attractions. So it was hard for the park to sort of keep up with its competitors in a way. I mean, you look at the competitors at the time when the park was operating, so it was between 1993 and around 1996, 1997. So you were looking at Alton Towers being a main competitor. You were looking at Drayton Manor still being there. You wouldn't really count Poulton's Park because they weren't really up there. Chessington was only just starting out. It was only a few years ago since Transylvania was added when the park started. So Chessington was sort of going up the ranks when the park was sort of operating in its prime. American Adventure was around in the time, but that was sort of going through the later stages of John Broom's reign. Of course, if you want to see that, then again, wait until the end of this video and go and watch the American Adventure one. I'd highly recommend it. So they didn't really bring in more exciting attractions. Of course, they brought in the brand new TV family favourite Dart Ride. Again, it looked a fantastic dart ride for its time. If they kept the park going, if they just relocated the park, and it's like the Elitch Garden story at the minute, and again, I'm going to do a separate video on that in a week or two time. In fact, no, in a matter of days, to be fair. You sort of look at the Elitch Garden situation now and think, right, we need to relocate the park so we don't lose it forever. Because it looks as if it's going to be redeveloped. Again, more in that video. this is sort of that situation, but back in the day. Crinkley Bottom could have easily moved the park to a different location. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same as Cricket St Thomas, but you'd still keep the Crinkley Bottom, keep the children's characters alive, and sort of build the park up from there. It would have been brilliant, and it's a shame they had to really close the park. Then they closed the wildlife park afterwards, and it was just left as it was when it was bought by Warner Leisure, when it just became the Cricket St Thomas Hotel. It was sad, really, for the amusement parks industry when we lost that, because it was quite a different theme park. I wouldn't say it wasn't one of the best, but it was definitely a very strange, eerie theme park. So there we go. So that's my 3 main points then on what went wrong with Crinkley Bottom. It was a park concept that they couldn't really keep going. There wasn't many exciting new attractions year upon year, so it sort of led towards the financial closure. And also, the fact that the cracks were already there shows that it wasn't really going to sustain. Because if you have cracks within weeks of opening, then you're bound to fail unless you bring a miracle into this world. So that was the 3 main points that I picked out. So that's this video then on what went wrong with Crinkley Bottom. Overall, though, I feel like the park should have been relocated to a better site that could have been fully plan permitted, and they could have used that site for the theme park. But it is such a shame. Of course, Mr. Blobby's house did stay abandoned, and nature took its toll until it was fully demolished in 2014. And no trace of the Blobbyland house, the Dumb Blobbin, as it was called back then. You know, that's sort of all gone now. So there's no references to Crinkley Bottom anymore. It's just the Cricket St Thomas Hotel. So it's a shame about this part. Now, there is plenty more videos from this Closed But Not Forgotten series still to come. I've got rides, I've got more closed theme parks, I've got Camelot and Pleasure Island lined up, I've got Nemesis Subterra lined up, I've got the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory ride lined up. I've got loads of rides lined up for this series, and there's going to be more about different series on the channel coming up in my channel trailer, which I'm releasing around start of January 2019, so make sure you stay tuned for that. It's only in a matter of weeks' time the channel trailer will be officially released on the channel, so I cannot wait to show you guys what we have in store, because it won't just be Newsroom, Debate Time and Closed But Not Forgotten. We've got a few other series going on, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching this video then, for episode 2 of the Closed But Not Forgotten series. I thought I'd start this series early, but the next Closed But Not Forgotten episode will be in 2019, so stay tuned for that one. But for now, my name is Coast Chal, keep living the Coast Life, and I'll see you guys in the next video soon. Take care, have an awesome day.